Hello, Cooper Clever 1972 here, also of course known as Brian. So I have been sick, and it's like I maybe it's pneumonia or something with the lungs, and I've you have to excuse me. I wasn't going to do a video, but I have to return this TV series that I borrowed from the library tomorrow, even though I work for the library. I had to drink water for this video because I didn't know if I was going to cough a lot. And I'm going to try to make this video short, and I just want to talk about what I watched. Excuse me. Anyways, I got on loan from another library this show. A friend of mine on YouTube and Facebook, he scans some of his TV shows and movies, but this is one of the shows he was asking me about. I guess he likes it. I guess he thinks it's a pretty good show. Anyways, what I'm talking about is the Newsroom. It's created by the guy who who created The West Wing, and of course The Social Network, which was directed by David Fincher, and Steve Jobs, which was directed by Danny Boyle. Just to sidestep just for a second, Steve Jobs with directed by written by Aaron Sorkin and directed by Danny Boyle. I didn't think was as good as Jobs. I don't know who made Jobs, but it was with Ashton Kutcher as Steve Jobs, and Steve Jobs had Michael Fassbender as Steve Jobs. And I'm not a Ashton Kutcher person, but I thought his performance was way better, and I liked the fact that the scope of the film was wider. You know, it went through his life, and the Steve Jobs movie only went to like certain speeches that Steve Jobs Steve Jobs gave at like I guess Apple conventions or whatever. But anyways, the guy who wrote the script for Steve Jobs was Aaron Sorkin. His probably most well-known claim to fame is The West Wing. And I'm not into talky kind of stuff, as you might know by now, by my talking about movies. And I've talked a little about television on my channel, but not too much. But I just thought I'd offer my thoughts on this. And I don't know if I don't think I can make this a long video because I'm better than I was, and I've gone back to work, but I'm not 100% out of the woods yet. So Anyways, it's about this guy played by Jeff Daniels. He plays a news anchor. Sam Waterston is in this, or is it Waterston? He was in Law and Order. I don't know if he's still on Law and Order. Excuse me. And he plays like his, maybe it's his boss or the guy who runs the network. Um, there's his um, Jeff Daniels, the woman who runs the broadcast, the news. What's her name? Her real name. Her name escapes me. Or character name is Mackenzie, and his name and Jeff Daniels' names is Will, and I can't remember the name of the character played by Sam Waterston, but it's complex, the show. It's talky, but I sort of warmed up to it as I began to watch more of it. I mean, I still don't know if it's I don't know if you consider it. I put it in the same tier as Twilight Zone, which might be my favorite show of all time. A few episodes weren't that great of the first Twilight Zone. I think it was those those very few episodes were like rush jobs, to get them onto the air, like they had a deadline or whatever. Excuse me. But most of them were excellent. And then, of course, later on, because I didn't think television was incredibly fantastic until about the 90s when you reach shows like The Simpsons and Seinfeld. And then it really, really went great with shows like Breaking Bad and Mad Men, um, Dexter. Um, there's some other shows, Frasier. Um, but So this wasn't a terrible show. It was kind of interesting. Um, like one of the things is they managed to contact somebody who's um, in Egypt in a room somewhere in, I think somewhere in Cairo, and they wanted to use him to get access to what's happening with the revolution against, I think it's Mubarak, who ran Egypt. But the thing is, I my take is, why don't they show actual footage, in like a recreation of Egypt, like the actual streets of Egypt, a camera of this character that they see on the computer screen, actual shots of him moving around Egypt, and it doesn't have to be Egypt. It could be a set or something, but it seemed very claustrophobic. The right word? I don't know. I mean, it seemed like it was all contained. Everything. The show was just contained in an office building with a control room and then an anchor desk and then a series of desks in a big room. It's not a terrible show. I think I shed some tears during some of it. I think some of the characters are well developed. I don't want to. I don't want to let too much be revealed, because I think if people want to watch this, I think they'll get something out of it. I think um, the characters are interesting. Some of the dialogue it kind of turns me off. I mean, because it's a singy songy kind of dialogue. It's like, um, well, I mean, Aaron Sorkin, he's one of the people on Masterclass, which at some point in the near future I'm going to subscribe to, I believe, for another streaming source. And it's just lectures by famous people, in different fields like acting and filmmaking, directing, writing, singing, cooking, um, I don't know, photography, and also all these celebrities that teach these courses. And Aaron Sorkin happens to be one of those people. And I think he says in his ad, he says something like, if you're doing your dialogue well, it will sound like, maybe he didn't say this. Something like it sound like music to you. It will sound like you will really it will sound beautiful to you, when you write in a good way. So it's kind of interesting. It's not a it's a pretty good show. It's a pretty good show. Uh, but it's not Breaking Bad. It's not Mad Men. It's not up to. It's not there. It's not up to that level. Maybe. Um, it does make a comment about, like, instead of showing tabloid kind of news, which they sort of have to tread on in order to regain their ratings. It's about, like, the authenticity of news making, like reporting on things that really have a crucial matter, like poverty and, oh, I don't know what, um, just things that have a relevance to people's lives. That's what basically they really want to do, but they're caught in this um, tug of war between that and tabloid kind of esque things, and the complications with the characters. Is some love triangle, not love triangle, well, love triangles, yeah, and just that's kind of interesting. The love interests are pretty cool. How they gather a story together. But some of the dialogue is it sort of reminds me of a stage play. And when I want to watch TV, I want to watch something visual, like Black Mirror or Breaking Bad or Dexter or I mean, Mad Men was a dialogue show, but I don't know. I mean, I think they knew how to make it a visual show too. Um, I think I'm thinking Mad Men is that way. I don't know. Maybe it's showing an era of time. Um, Mad Men is one of the great shows that have been on fairly recently. So, but anyways, I thought I'd give my 2 cents about this. Out of 5 stars, I'm giving the Newsroom season one. I'll give it. Um, I'll give it 3.5 out of 5 stars. So it's not excellent, but it's better than good. So that's what I'll give it. So, and I might be intrigued enough to um, ask for interlibrary loans on the second and third season. It only lasted 3 seasons, so I'm going on a little longer than I thought I would, but this is not as long as most of my videos, so I'll leave it at that. Check out the Newsroom season one, and thanks for watching. Maybe I'll have a GarageBand video up at some point. I don't know. I gotta get better first. Not that I'm extremely bad right now, but I'm not completely out of the woods yet. So thanks for watching. Hope to see you soon. Bye for now.